Hello world, Patricia O'Connor and Frida Reba Darcy here. Today on Bonsai Balcony we have part two of our Literati Japanese Black Pine. We in part one went through and pulled a few needles, a few third-year needles, and today we may do part two and part three. And what I would like to do in part two is go through here and do some of the work that I hadn't done in fall, which is a little bud selection, a little bit of work there. I'll need to take that a little slower. There may be a few lapses where I get quiet, where I'm trying to think about what it is we're doing. Having said that, this is just going to be part two. We're going to do a little bit of cleanup through here, and some of these branches actually may not make the grade. We could stand to cut back a few of these, possibly. Then after that, and this should be shorter. Yesterday's show was a little long. Yesterday's show was a little bit long, and it mercifully cut itself off, which I think. Ooh. And then I'm going to go up, I think, with this, so I can at least get underneath it. All right, I'm going to start down here. This is our Japanese Black Pine Literati. Yesterday's show was I went through and was cleaning up a lot of third-year needles, and then and also what we missed. I was looking at it, and here's the thing: I have to remember what I said on yesterday's show, and try to remember what didn't get said in case it needed to get said. And one thing we did do in yesterday's show that you missed is I also went back through with I had a plastic scraper, a plastic one, and because I think it would do less damage to the pot. And I tilted the tree towards you guys this way, and I went through and I scraped back our roots again, which will go a long way towards helping this tree set level and on its feet better. Also, this possibly, and I wasn't able to look at it because it was gone, it didn't get recorded. This possibly enables you to get a good look at what I'm looking at this is the reverse of what I'm looking at when I look at the tree up from the bottom. And so having said pretty much all of that, we are now at a part of this game where there. Also, yesterday's show, I walked into frame with a maple leaf attached to my butt. I don't know if I did that this time or not. I guess I'll assume that we came in clean. Yeah. Yeah, and the next one, the one after this, is where I intend to put a little bit of wire, put a little bit more motion in this, maybe not a whole lot. The tools that I have on hand are just a couple of scissors and some pruners. I don't really see me needing, though I also broke out some wire cutters. I don't really necessarily see myself using those guys too much. Also, I did a show earlier today before I drug out the table and stuff. I wanted to do some follow-up on our last two shows, and I thought that before I drug out this table and started between part deux and part tres on this Literati, that maybe I would that before I would do that, maybe I would just go through there and shoot a short video. It was, compared to what these last couple of guys have been, this was a fairly short video, and I did some follow up on our watering video, and I did some follow-up on Saturday Night Live, where I did some follow-up where I showed the work that we did up close and personal with our colander last night. I was really happy with the way that turned out. Also, I'm just going to tell you guys, when I uncovered the base of that tree, you know, when you dig the soil back and you see, and I had selected that tree specifically because I could see that we had put some pretty good motion in this, and this is the little tree that we worked on last night in Saturday night, and I could see that we had really good motion in that tree. However, then when I uncovered the base part, it looked to me like it got just a little straighter than I would have wanted, right off, you know, a little straighter than I would have wanted. And I was kind of at the time going, well, this show isn't about that. It's a shame we can't have everything. I thought this was going to be a lot more motion down there than what I saw. And then I thought about it and I went, well, the show is about making those long roots, which we're definitely going to be able to do. And with those long, flexible roots, the angle of the tree can be anything we wanted. So what looks maybe a little straight will be very easily fixable. I mean, that's part of the, that excuse didn't work for me either. After the show, I was sitting there looking at it, and I got my fingers down in there in that tube, and I put some hellacious pins. I put some hellacious pins in that little tree, and then I squeezed them together. So that little guy is over there resting comfortably. Looks great. Looks great. It came out really nice, I think. And it wants or needs nothing. We've got that guy off on exactly the footing that we've got that guy definitely on the footing that works really well for us. All right. What I'm doing here is I'm going to go through and do a little bit of bud selection and do a little bit of candle cutting also. And we're just cleaning this thing up. We're still just cleaning this tree up. Going through. Do I have a chopstick also? That looks a little bare, but I'm looking at buds here too. There's a bud right here, so I've got like 2 pairs of needles. That looks pretty sparse, but I'm also looking at a bud that's about to bust out right there on the tip. This guy can go. And we're going through and cleaning up. When we were looking at this, or when I was looking at this at the beginning of the show yesterday, it was I'm gonna do this. The tree looked so bushy that it looked like we were making big pads. But if we were making big pads, we would have been off to a good start. You couldn't really see this structure here, and to me that needed fixing. That needed fixing. I am going to a lot of these little pieces that are getting elongated and stuff, so it's just a good time to go through and cut those back. That'll produce a lot of stuff. All right. Let's go to the next one be in here. Looking at that. So basically I just take every one of these little branches and I take it by on a 1 by one by one, and I am looking at if there's more than two big pieces to it, then I'm looking to cut it. I'm looking to cut it back. I'm looking to cut it back to two that match. And a lot of times, cut them back to two smaller. Those last two times, that's just what we did. Cut them back to two smaller. A lot of these back buds, cleaning up also. It's more about what's on the end. Also, if we have, this would also probably be a good time to consider the energy above and below. So trees always want to be apically dominant, which means to say they want all their energy up here, and it'll start killing things off down here. If and in order to keep that from happening, and keep the parts of the tree that we want to stay active, a lot of times we'll thin back some of the more productive ends and thin back less some of the weaker parts, and that is how we keep the balance of energy. A little more cleanup right here. That's okay. Once I've gone through all of these branches on all three levels here, pretty much like what you see me doing now, that'll be the end of part 2, and we'll move on to placing the wiring here and bringing it up to the top, and then we're gonna see how much motion we can get in this guy, and we're not going to put as much in it as we can. We're going to put in what we consider to be an appropriate amount given it's a literati. Now, a lot of these are growing like this, and when we wire them, we're going to put them like that. So I don't know. It might be at that distance that doesn't read a whole lot, but that's the positioning of this is part of it that we'll be putting off until after we wired the trunk. We're going to come back through and rewire our pads. What you see me doing here is taking off a lot of these back buds and just preserving the tips. Cleaning up the under stuff also. It is a beautiful day today in Alameda. It's warm, sunny. the air does feel a little smoky, I gotta say. I'm already starting to like this a lot better. It's starting to look a little bit more kept. So yesterday, with needle sticking up this much above, I was mentioning that we need to come below, but it was easy to see that these needles were the ones that were sticking up higher than the rest. So I didn't have to worry so much about coming in below just to pluck those. But now what we're looking at is our second year needles and our first year needles, and those guys we definitely need to be a little bit more on our toes with. So quite a bit of cleanup. Ambidextrous. Equally clumsy with both hands, yeah. Cleaning up a lot of these little buds in here. There's a lot of them. Lots to do. This is just your what we're doing here is your basic pine cleanup. I think a lot of left-handed people are ambidextrous because certain things just become a certain amount of awkward to do with right-handed tools. So you're got to be open to the idea of which is the lesser. Which is the lesser of the two evils? Using the tool backwards or using the wrong hand. Looking at this guide, I'm not exactly sure what the, okay, here's what we're looking at. Yeah, we did right. Lot of needles forming in the crotch there, in between these two tips. So what this is doing is it may look a little skimpy at first. Don't worry, it'll come back. Sometimes I cut these things back to the buds that are about to start pushing out stuff, so you're not even really seeing what it is that I'm seeing that I'm cutting it back to. But the idea is that we're cleaning it up enough to where we can see our branch structure again, and we're cleaning up that branch structure so that it doesn't just do this part. So that we can see what's going on in there, basically, so that I can see it better, so that we can see it better. That's good, that's good. Also, I'm seeing that I didn't do this well enough last year, or at all. It was good last year. So by not cutting it back or pruning it back last year, these ends were getting kind of big and club-like, and I had to go back in my old videos and see how neat and orderly they used to be, and that it used to be light and waspy, and that wasn't because it was an immature tree. That's because it was a literati and had been was at a state of refinement that was really good to take it to the auction. So I kind of lived off of that for a couple of years. loving the way that it looked and not wanting to mess with that, which now led us to this, time to mess with that. No harm, no foul. We're just doing what we should be doing. And I could have been doing some of this last year, but now it's also probably fine. Now it's probably also fine time to be doing this. I hope wherever you are, it's January, mid-January, I hope wherever you are, it's not too cold, too hot, or you're not stressed out about fire or flood or snow, heat, too much heat. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in my country right now. Take that whole thing. I'm not looking at this beforehand, so it takes me a minute. Sometimes it takes me a second to see exactly what I need to do there. So I haven't cut anything off yet that I'm sorry about. So far I think we're doing pretty good so far. Move on, Pat. So I'm just turning that to you, and this had been turned to you, now it's turned to me. Yeah, it doesn't look near as neat as what I just left. I think I'm doing the right thing here. So going back, cleaning up these back buds. They're not a part of the original design. They were a part of the health and the vigor that the tree was showing, and we allowed that. And now it's time to go through and clean up some of that. Now, if we had any branches that had looked to be unhealthy or something, those back buds would have created options for us. And otherwise I think we're okay without most of it. So we're cleaning back. I don't think I've seen anything yet. Well, I'm gonna cut off what was the terminal bud, and then in lieu of this back bud back here. Without exception, so far I've cut most of those off. Which is also to say that this year's design is largely last year's design, but cleaned up. Really enjoyed last night's show. Really enjoy doing doing these shows about root work. I also enjoy the shows that we've done where we fold little pines up into Cheerios. I think that was kind of like a moment for us. I think that was a moment, and one that I'm really looking forward to getting back to. I think that this work that we're doing now with the roots and stuff is going to pay off in the end, and it is going to dovetail nicely with what we're doing in the root stuff now. I see both of those things as being a really, really cool thing. A really cool thing together. Here I just used the back button. I fed this thing a lot. I just would line up bottle gold. Pretty much all the way down the trunk. All the way around the base. I know I promised a quick video. Hopefully we're still shooting a video. I got these guys at work at our hardware store, and I gotta say I really like them. They're really comfortable. They're really sharp. The blades stay sharp. And they're tight. Happy over here. Some stuff here I'm not happy with. How do I let all that go? I'm pretty excited to get to the next part, which is the part where we explore how much movement we can get in here. At this time of year, it feels like it's pretty pliable to me. Also, you can get a little bit of cracking out of Japanese black pines without killing them. can't get away with, in a way that I can't get away with on my oaks, for instance. See what I've just done. The part of this that I was dreading was the part that I'm going to do of this, which is last, and that is the wiring of these small branches. The wiring of these small branches. But I've already made great strides towards making this job a lot easier on myself. This much cleanup, it's gonna make doing that a lot easier. Not painless by any means. It's gonna be a couple more. I'm wondering. Yeah, I guess I was wondering if I needed this. I was wondering if I needed this guy right here. I think I do. I think it's a little long, but I think it complements. I don't know. Maybe. It is. I'll bring this around to here, and bring this around to here, and then bring that around to there. I think I like it. I know I like that. I know I like that. Now, I'm looking at it from underneath. Maybe I'll take that one, but I don't want to get all trigger happy. Can do that later. It might be that with wire I like it better, but right now I like all of these inner buds more than I like these two outside. Yeah. All right. Pat, it's too late to be a short show, man. Yeah. So what we're doing, we'll will definitely cause the energy to shift in this tree, and I would expect a few parts of this tree to start getting kind of hyper as far as growth spurts are concerned. Some of these buds are gonna leap into action. All of the energy that was going to be allocated for all the stuff that we cut, all of that energy that was going to that stuff is now going to all of this stuff. And that's gonna look pretty. It's gonna look pretty cool here in a minute. So now we're moving up to the apex. Pretty good amount of cleanup to do here. Easy there. So I kind of look at it, I try to look at it tip at a time, and then try to guess correctly as to out of all this too much stuff, which of it is the keeper. And here's the thing. We can change our mind about this later. In that, I mean that if we cut ourselves down, these buds that I've just clipped will probably cause another flush coming along behind them. So what we're trying to do, what we are doing is just really cleaning all this stuff up. While at the same time, if we had chosen incorrectly, the cavalry will be here in a minute with 4 more buds where we just cut one off. So yeah. Sort of do this securing the knowledge that you don't cut yourself down to the last thing on the tip. And if you've made a mistake, then you've also probably created more choices for yourself for later. So the correction of the mistake is also in the making. Some of the pressure. I bought this tree at a bonsai auction in Oakland, and it was I believe this tree was grown by a local bonsai enthusiast. I didn't know it. A lot of my other trees, I've got a little bit more of an origin story on. This one, not so much. I saw it at auction and went all bid on that. I think that's a lot of responsibility. If you win a tree at auction, especially if you bid against other people, those other people, they may have killed the trees first week, but then so might you. So don't take lightly things you win in an auction. A lot of cleanup here. Okay, yeah, I know, I kind of got quiet. This is just like a cluster of fine little buds in there, and on another tree, I would be deciding which ones I wanted to keep. On this tree, it's like, yeah, none of y'all. We just got to go in there and cut all of y'all away. Now I think I did okay. I have really enjoyed learning about pines. Early in my experiment with bonsai, I made a couple of rules, and I don't even obey my own rules. I mean, it's just like that's how I am about rules, I guess. But one of the rules I made was grow stuff that you see growing locally. You know, if you're sitting at a red light somewhere and you look over and you see these trees growing volunteer on the side of the road, probably a fair indication that you would get away with growing those trees, or growing a tree of that species. If it grows pretty okay there in the wild, that's just one less thing to really have to worry about. When it comes to Japanese black pines, in a lot of ways, my little oasis here in Alameda, California, I believe is probably very, very much like, I think the California coastline up here in northern California, or from here up is northern California, I guess I should say. To my way of thinking, is probably very much like where these guys would have originally came from in Japan. A coast very much like that is what I'm thinking. And I've had luck manhandling these things and messing with these things, I think that we probably got away with with some of our potting trees whenever we feel like it. Because of that, I think we probably got away with the times that we did get away with it. Sometimes we didn't. There was a few times where I would style a tree that I've also repotted, that I've also recandled, and I think, you know, I would say, well, this tree just looks as strong as an ox. We'll just do this and this and this. So I think that's what I think that climate part, you know, having a tree that would just naturally do well here helps you to do it bonsai well here. I mean, if you're learning bonsai and you're trying to learn how to keep a tree going, it's not exactly in its niche environment, it gets double tricky, and I understand the want to do that. Ponderosa is when we look in the background and see the jets flying over. I'm at sea level. This guy was used to 5,000 feet above sea level, which is probably where those, you know, if you see a jet flying over just leaving Oakland Airport, that's probably 5,000 feet. It's used to being way up there. So this is not exactly its growing climate. So I'm living and dying by that at the same time. These Japanese black pines, golly, they love it. They seem to love it here. They do well here. I have a longer repotting season than most people. I know it is. Other parts are confusing. I wonder, I always question whether or not I'm nailing my candle cutting season spot on or not. We're about to wrap this up. I haven't wrapped it up, but we're about to. Anyway, I'm worried about cutting those needles because then he owns about to cut that. Yeah, I've been kind of hoarse here lately, a little sore throat. So those are our air quality issues currently. All right, look at there. Oh, if that's not laying on top of there, oh, that was just laying on top of there. I'm looking for stuff that I may have missed, and when I see something, it was something that just fell down in the tree. I think if you look at this, you should be able to see most of the branches better now. It says Literati. Now, it still looks, to me, it still looks a tad unkept, and we need to get these pads straightened out. They're all droopy, but I don't set those until I get some motion into the trunk. Because that will be the final say. Once we've done this, then I know how to do this. If I do this now and then I do this, then I got to go back and do this over again. All right. Except every time I say all right, I see something. But yeah. All right. I'm gonna get in there this week. And with this, Pat leaps into fall. Yeah, we're almost caught up to one of our earlier seasons. I think I'm better at this. By the time I got to the top of the tree, I was more, I was a little bit more discriminating at the top than I was at the bottoms. I can do this a little. That's key. So when I have all these choices to look at, quite often the choices are the bushy one or the skinny one. And in bonsai, a lot of times, the skinny one is the right call. In Literati, a lot of times, the skinny one is the right call. So, all right. Like and subscribe if you guys have not already. Our next drop will be part 3, part tray, where I'm going to stab a wire into this spot. It'll be a big copper wire, and we'll put a wrap around here, and we're just going to exaggerate the motion that we have here a little bit. I would say not exaggerate, maybe accentuate is a better word. Accentuate. So that's what's coming up, and that'll be soon. As far as your perspective, my perspective is that'll be a few minutes. So like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. You know what's up. Our next spot will be part 3 of our Literati show, where we see what we would like to do flexible wise. Going to use some probably a few tools. If we get in there and we think that we're running any risks or something, then part 3 might be how to bail out of a YouTube video. I totally am not looking to do anything here that's going to cost us. It's going to cost us the future of one of our trees. So I appreciate you, Frida. Appreciate you. And thank you all so much for watching. I'll try my best. Hey, and we're still